Last Saturday, the NDSU men's basketball team had a chance to pull into a tie for third in the Summit League standings with a win against the Omaha Mavericks at the Shields Center. After the game's first 20 minutes, the Bison looked to be on their way toward achieving that goal, but how would they finish? Picking it up here in the second half, the Bison are up by 8 at the break. Jared Samuelson will knock down this corner three after some nice ball movement. He had 11 points total in this game. Later, he's going to get into the lanes, take a turn, step back, make this mid-range jump shot. Bison lead by 10 at this point, but the Mavericks chip away at the lead, and here's KJ Robinson off this great designed inbounds play. Omaha now has a 1-point lead, but the Bison would come back. Vinny Shahid working on Robinson, takes a step back three and nails it. Bison back in a 2-point lead at this point in the second half, 5 minutes to go. Robinson drives into the lane, and Zach Jackson off great ball movement will knock down this three. Omaha's back in front. He had a game-high 16 points in this one. Now we come down the stretch. Robinson feeds over for Mitch Hahn of Omaha, and he's going to rise up over Samuelson and knock down a dagger three. The Bison again lose at home after leading by double digits.
Nothing to do with South Dakota State at all. We just did not play well tonight. Play with no effort. No energy, and that's on us.
And it's a learning experience for us. That being said, we've got to continue to grow, and that grow is playing with a little bit more spirit, a little bit more joy, a little bit more emotion. Some of the things that we had in the past, I didn't see that here this afternoon.
The Mavericks won by the final score of 58-50, a season low in points scored for the Bison, who only shot 26% from the floor in the second half. Vinny Shahid led the way with 13 points and 5 rebounds for NDSU, who will play tonight in Vermillion, South Dakota against the Coyotes at 8 p.m. With only 2 conference games remaining for most teams in the Summit League, let's take a look at the standings about a week before the conference tournament. As it stands right now, South Dakota State just needs 1 victory to clinch the regular season conference title outright over Omaha. NDSU is currently sitting in 4th in the conference and cannot drop a spot, but can move up to 3rd if they win both of their remaining games and IPFW loses both of their remaining games. Spots 5 through 8 in the standings are still to be decided. The top 8 teams make the Summit League men's basketball tournament, which kicks off in Sioux Falls, South Dakota at the Denny Sanford Premier Center on Saturday, March 9th. The Bison women's basketball team also took on Omaha last weekend at the Shields Center, looking to put their season-long 7-game losing streak and last weekend's 40-point home loss behind them. It was a tough shooting day for both teams, but NDSU held a 1-point lead at halftime. However, the Bison trailed by as much as 10 points in the third quarter. NDSU would then go on a 13-0 run in the fourth to take a lead they would not relinquish. The Bison would make 17 out of their 21 free throws in the second half and score 29 points in the fourth quarter alone to propel them to victory. NDSU won by the final score of 55-48, led by Aurelia Newdell's 16 points and 6 rebounds. Sofia Zavalovic also chipped in with 13 points off the bench for the Bison, who are currently trailing the South Dakota Coyotes in the second half in Vermillion. Taking a look at the Summit League standings on the women's side as of this morning, South Dakota State currently owns the top spot and needs 1 victory to clinch the conference title outright. The South Dakota Coyotes had been nationally ranked for 2 consecutive weeks before falling to the Jackrabbits on Sunday and do not control their own destiny for the number 1 seed. As for NDSU, they appear to be participating in this year's conference tournament regardless of how their regular season ends, as they currently hold the 7th seed with 2 games remaining. The women's tournament will run parallel to the men's tournament, as it will be held on the same dates at the same venue in Sioux Falls. After a hard luck series in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, the NDSU softball team returned stateside last weekend for a set of games at the Auburn Tiger Invitational. The Bison won 3 out of the 5 games they played, and the only 2 losses were to the nationally ranked Auburn Tigers. Early standouts for the Herd at this point in the season include senior catcher Maddie Hansen, who leads the team with 4 home runs, and junior outfielder Madison Camacho, who has a team-leading .327 average. After last weekend's results, NDSU is now 7-6 on the season and will travel to the West Coast to play in the Stanford University Tournament beginning this Friday. Shifting gears to professional baseball, earlier today, one of the most sought-after free agents in Major League history finally has a new home. Bryce Harper will sign with the Philadelphia Phillies. The former Washington Nationals outfielder has agreed to sign a 13-year, $330 million contract, the richest in American pro sports history. The contract will not include any opt-out clauses and will include a no-trade clause, meaning Harper will be a Philly until 2031. Harper's deal, when signed, will break the American pro sports record previously held by current New York Yankees outfielder Giancarlo Stanton at $325 million. And finally, the NDSU men's and women's track and field teams each participated in the Summit League Indoor Championships in Brookings, South Dakota last weekend. The women's team came in winning 11 straight conference championships, and the men's team had won each of the last 3 indoor championships. When all was said and done, the Bison women convincingly took home the conference championship for the 12th straight year, winning by 68 points over second-place South Dakota State. Sophomore Kelby Anderson was named Most Outstanding Performer for NDSU for her efforts in the distance running events. If that wasn't impressive enough, however, though the men's team may not have won the championship, Peyton Otterdahl set the all-time record for the longest indoor shot put ever thrown by a college athlete. He broke the previous record by 3 inches and will compete at the NCAA Indoor Championships next weekend in Birmingham, Alabama. Now, basically, what Otterdahl's doing is he's taking a 16-pound sphere and throwing it 71.5 feet. That's what he just did. I can't even get half that, maybe on a good day.
Yeah, it's just impressive what he's been able to do. And if he doesn't at least make the Olympic trials for 2020, I think it's going to be pretty shameful.
Fair enough.
Thanks, Isaac. After the break, we'll have this week's Bison on the Street.